October is upon us, which means it's the perfect time of year for all of the horror and thriller books. I have 9 horror and thriller book recommendations, all perfect for spooky season, so let's just get into it. First up, we have The Troop by Nick Cutter. This is one of my all-time favorite horror books. It's one of my #1 recommendations for horror of all time. Basically, there's a group of Boy Scouts and they go into the Canadian wilderness for a camping trip. It's tradition, but then an intruder comes up on them and everything goes into chaos after that. They are exposed to a bioengineered nightmare. I don't want to say anything about it because I think that's part of the fun of finding out what it is. But it is a pretty gruesome body horror type book. So it definitely makes you feel some type of way. But I love this so much. I've been trying to find another book like this for so long because of how much I love this book. If you want a true horror book, read this. Next up, we have Carnival of Fear by J.G. Faherty. I hope I said that correctly. This is the most underrated horror book I've ever read. It literally has, I think, 100 ratings on Goodreads, and it is so fun, and it's perfect for fall because it has a carnival setting. Horror books that take place in carnivals or circuses or anything, I am always down for. I just love the vibes of fairs and carnivals and all of that. And this book does take place around Halloween. This group of teenagers go to a carnival one night and they find out that it is not any ordinary carnival. They end up getting stuck in a bunch of attractions and they have to complete them in order to get out. So there's vampires, zombies, aliens, everything. It has a little bit of like every horror subgenre. And this is probably one of the most immersive horror books I've ever read. I could envision like everything so well, which automatically makes me rate it higher because if I can imagine myself there, it makes the experience so much better. If this got picked up by a traditional publisher in 2025 and just got edited down a bit, I feel like this would be the horror book of the year. This is really underrated. I love it so much and I do not hear it talked about enough. And then we have Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. This is a good old young adult slasher. Slashers are so much fun. If you just want a good, easy read, something fun, I would read this. I'm usually not a huge fan of young adult books. I just feel like I can't relate to them. But this book is so fun. I think I read it in 1, maybe 2 sittings, so it goes super fast. Basically, this teenage girl and her dad moved to a small town and she's just trying to get through the year. Whatever, she like does not love the place. And then there's a party, and from the party, chaos ensues, and it's just slasher fun from there. I think you can guess based on the title. It's a lot of fun. Chainsaws, clowns, blood, gore, all of it. It's a super good time, super easy read, great for in-between books. This book got me out of a reading slump, so if you need that, read this. Infected by Scott Sigler. This is a horror thriller book. Another very underrated one in my opinion. When I first read this, it was 4 stars, but for months and months after, I would just get little like flashbacks of parts of the book. And so I automatically had to raise it to 5 stars because I'm like, if you're living rent-free in my head, you're worth more stars. Basically, there's this disease and it's turning all these Americans into paranoid murderers. They murder their family, murder themselves. It's just not good. In this book, we are following this main character that is an ex-football star, and he's infected, and you get to go through his journey of being infected and what happens to him. And like he finds out the disease like wants something from him. And it's something that could alter the fate of the entire human race. It is such a cool concept. It's very unique. This is unlike anything I've read before. And it is actually a trilogy. There's 2 more books. I own the second one, have not read it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it because this is so fun. It'll live rent-free in your head for months after. Then we have My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the first book in the Indian Lake trilogy. This book is truly a homage to horror. There is so many horror references throughout this entire book. It's really fun to see that placed throughout the entire story, and it really made me want to go back and look at different horror movies and everything so I could like study more and understand more of this book. Stephen Graham Jones has such a unique way of writing where when I first read it, it was a little hard for me to understand, But after not reading it for months, it made me really appreciate his writing, because I'm like, no one really has his writing style. And so I feel like it sets him apart from so many authors. If you are a true horror fan, you love horror movies, this is a really fun book to read. Then we have Episode 13 by Craig DeLuey. This is a very unique horror book in that it's written in like a documentary movie style. Basically about a reality TV show where they are ghost hunting experts. And so they go to this house supposedly haunted, and then they get stuck in this like nightmare. And it's a lot of fun because it is written in a way that you're almost watching a found footage movie, which I love found footage horror movies. I think they're so fun. Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project, all of those I love. I don't consider any of them like very good, but they're just so entertaining, and sometimes that's all you want from a movie or a book or anything, just to be entertained, and this book does that for me. So this is a fun time, I recommend it. Then we have Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. This is his debut novel. I loved this book, and it's about this island that is stuck in 1994. Basically, it's like nothing has changed in 30 years, it's just stuck in that year. And this woman goes there after finding a message written in her son's room. Her son had died, so she goes there thinking she's gonna find answers to everything. What I love about this book is it is mixed media. There's the regular normal chapters, and then you have like text messages, and you have articles, and all these things, and it just makes it a really fun reading experience. Honestly, ever since I read this book, I've been looking for more mixed media books because of it, because I enjoyed this one so much. I want more. Basically, this book is about this island, and they're stuck in 1994. Basically, nothing has changed in 30 years, and it's a mystery as to why. This lady goes there after finding a message on her deceased son's floor. She goes there thinking that she's gonna learn a little bit more about his death and like find some answers. So you just go along her journey doing that, and you find out a little bit about this mysterious island and why it is the way it is. And it's just a lot of fun. I really love this book. It was one of my favorites of 2023. How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is one of my favorite horror authors. I love his books. I've read How to Sell a Haunted House, The Southern's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Best Friend's Exorcism, and I've loved them all. What I love about his horror books is they don't take themselves too seriously. Yes, they do have scary parts, but overall they're a lot of fun. I feel like Grady Hendrix is the perfect introduction to horror. Like if you are afraid to read horror because you don't want to be too scared, or you're afraid you won't be able to sleep at night, I would start with Grady Hendrix. This book follows this girl who finds out her parents have died, and so she has to go back to Charleston to go through their family home. It is full of all this crap, and so she's like, I don't want to do this, but she does, and she meets her brother there who they do not get along. You just go through this journey of going through this house and finding out things about the family, and it is so weird. It ends up being so weird and unexpected. I didn't read the entire synopsis before I read this, and honestly that's what I would recommend doing, because it went in a direction I did not expect, but it was so fun, and this was a 5-star horror read for me. Last but not least, we have Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. This is a fun book. It follows a aging rock legend who collects a lot of weird stuff. A snuff film, a cookbook for cannibals, and his latest purchase is this dead man's suit. And basically this suit is inhabited by its late owner, and it just goes down in this book. He goes through a lot throughout this book, and it's a lot of fun to go through this journey with him, and I just really enjoyed this. So that is all 9 of the horror thriller books that I had to recommend today. If you have read any of these or have any recommendations for spooky season, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. I love you. Bye.